topics that.
Go ahead and keep going.
Was I muted?
You were.
I was? Okay.
Sorry, everybody.
All right, sorry about that. We're working the bugs out of this. Let's see, what did I say? Okay, I'm gonna run through that again because it's important that you know what we're doing here. All right, this is our Wednesday night anyone can farm question and answer live chat, right? But we are upping our game. We're fortifying our position. So the Wednesday night is the night that I have Jill. She's right here on the computer. And when you ask a question, she can highlight it and then give it to you and answer it. It's a different format than Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday can be specific to something that somebody wants to talk about, or I want to talk about, or something that somebody's posted on the tribe. And the Facebook Anyone Can Farm Tribe is a page of people that are kind of like-minded. They're into homesteading, small farming, maybe even big farming. Maybe you're not farming at all, but you're interested in it. Maybe you're going to be farming someday and you're just wanting to get your skill set together. But it's a place where you can go and read what other people are doing, post what you're doing, and I am floored by the level of people that have come in and the expertise that they have in the fields that they're interested in. You know, it's a lot of these people are hobby people. I started out as a hobby guy. Now it's my full-time gig, and I wouldn't want to do anything else. I've talked to several other farmers, even recently, even this week. I spoke with Autumn Nowhere, and she's local here in the Southern Farm, which is pretty big medicine. And she said, no, I wouldn't ever think of doing anything else. And I feel the same way. I'm really liking what I'm doing. So the Wednesday night, what we had hoped to do is up our game 4 to 5 and call-in capability. However, our internet's not working good tonight. You know, we're on rural internet and sometimes it just doesn't work good. It's not like it's raining out or snowing or blizzarding or anything. It's just not working good. And, you know, there's one guy that services all the equipment and, you know, he's quits at 5 and that's it. You know, it's unfortunate because I think the Zoom call thing will be kind of neat. You'll be able to call in, get your face up on there, and tell me exactly what you want. You know, engage the way you want to without having to type it in. And then we can have a nice little chat. And I think it'll be beneficial for the people that are tuning in. And our viewership has gone way, way up. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you would engage on here. So type something in, where you're from, thumbs up thing, like and share. That all helps to tell YouTube that, hey, this is a going concern. And what we want to do is bring more expertise in and have a bigger footprint for several reasons. But the tribe is an entity that has many voices. By the way, we just went for 500. I think we're up to 510, something like that. So that's really cool. I'd like it to be about 5 million. That'd be really nice. So tonight we're just going to go through questions and answers. Jill will be with me for an hour. If I go over, I'm going to be on my own. So that's when.
If our battery lasts.
If our battery lasts long. Last Wednesday, we went 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I didn't have a happy camper here. So we're going to try and keep it civilized tonight. Let's see. We did last week talk a little bit about preparedness, and yesterday, I'm not saying that ABC, NBC, and CBS, they are the be-all and the end-all. But when you see on there that they're reporting what the CDC said about Americans should prepare for a significant disruption in their, when you see that, and Laura's saying the internet is pretty bad, but when you see that, it is time to kick off your 24-hour checklist. And so I did that today. We actually kicked it off last night. And just to reiterate my feelings on this, I look at this pretty closely, and I think I'm able to discern what the threat is. And I don't think that you have anything to fear from the virus itself. If you are in good health, old, extremely young, I think that's not going to get you. I think what could possibly happen is heavy-handedness from bureaucratic outfits within the U.S. government that, for crazy reasons, will react, and they will quarantine sections of the country and stop travel and things like that. If that happens, then yeah, you can be affected, right? And if you are affected in that fashion, if I say, it would be in the form of not being able to get some of the things that you need to carry on. And so prepare, you know. I had an interesting conversation with my 8-year-old son this morning, and talking about preparedness. And I told him about my time in the Boy Scouts, and the Boy Scout motto is to be prepared. And once you start down that trail, you continue. At least I have. And I wasn't a very good scout either, but I was a scout. So interesting conversation when you try to tell an 8-year-old about preparedness. You know, very interesting. It really brings a lot to the table. And then trying to explain to him about this virus that's originating out of China, and that he shouldn't worry about it. Why are we preparing, and things like that. So today I went out and I got a bunch more diesel fuel and a bunch more gasoline. So I'm topped off. Everything's good to go. My feed supplies are up. I know I got enough hay till spring. You know, I'm as prepared as I feel comfortable, not anymore, but I feel more. So probably will. I will always continue to prepare. So anyway, let's go. I've got some good questions come in from a guy today. I had something that I wanted to read that I posted this morning on the tribe, and it's just one of those things that somebody has written, and you know, it's against the backdrop of the setting sun and all this stuff. But I read this and I thought, man, this fits. Surround yourself with the dreamers and the doers. Watch. You know, this internet is not working good. The believers and the thinkers. But most of all, surround yourself with those who see greatness within you, even when you don't see it in yourself. So, for me to do this is sort of like a high point in my farming career. You know, I had a military career and it was okay. I made it through. But this career is one that makes me feel like I really want to embrace what I'm doing. I really want to make people proud of what I'm doing. I want to perform the best I can. And believe it or not, in the wintertime, you know, my family, we all kind of get used to each other real good being cooped up, and we don't, I don't think we inspire each other as much as we do in the inspiration that comes from the outside. And I mentioned this person where we were skiing Monday, beautiful day, and we went up to a local mountain here. And I'm sitting in the lodge, you know, I'm not hitting the slopes like I used to when I was 25. I'm a little scared now and thinking, oh, if I break my leg again, I'm just going to be in tough shape. And, you know, I'm cold, you know, as my children are. And I ducked in the lodge, you know, an hour early or 45 minutes early, whatever. And I'm sitting there feeling kind of defeated, taking my ski boots off, putting my work boots back on. I'm sitting there in my grungy jeans. And this gal comes walking up and she says, "Hi, you're Mark Baker, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I am," I felt like a rock star. And she told me who she was. And I said, "Yeah, I recognize you from the internet." And it was Autumn Noteware. And she's really into this path that I'm on. And it made me feel like I'm glad that I'm on this path too. It just really boosted my day, And, you need that this time of the year for sure. So when I read this passage here, I thought, hey, this is good. And this is why we come together, is because of, all the different things in our lives where we all get kind of geeked about growing food and raising animals and processing food and just the farm life or simple life or intentional life, things like that. And when I come together with other people that are like that, they're my people. That's the people I am comfortable with, and that's who I want to be counted amongst. So there you go. I wanted to read that. I want to direct you to the tribe page. A lot of good stuff being posted on there. A lot of really cool stuff. Like I saw something today about worms, and I was thinking I really need to bolster my worm supply on the farm here again. When we first got here, there was hardly any worms, and I actually bought worms, put them in the garden. Okay, so I got a bunch of questions came in this week, and I thought, what the heck, let's go through a couple of them here. This fella, we've been watching their careers. This is Scott Burton, and they are down in Virginia, Joe, and we've been watching their development. They started, they have much going on, and it's surprising to see the gains that they've made. And I believe they both work full time. I know she does. She's a realtor. I'm not sure what Scott does, but I need to probably get with him one of these days. I've yet to talk to him on the phone, but he had some questions today, and I said to him, "Would you mind if I answer that tonight on the live chat?" He said, "Yes, that's fine." I said, "Good, because that's far more utility." And meaning these questions are questions, the guys, and you have these questions, and I can answer them individually a million times, but if I do it on this call-in show and we've got 1,000 people that see it, hopefully it gets out there a little bit better, and then you can pass it on to your friends and so on and so on. And this is all something that should be a natural process. In an agrarian society, it would be, but we've kind of a couple generations away from there, And like Bloomberg said, you dig a hole, drop a seed in, you got your corn. I mean, anybody can do it, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm helping old Mike out here. Matter of fact, my wife got this in the mail today. All right. So he's letting us know what he's going to be all about if he becomes our president.
We do have somebody in the waiting room.
Oh, you want to try it?
Get a chance. Sure.
All right, let's try that. Because I go back to Scott, then this just makes Scott have to stay here and listen. So let's try this. We got somebody in the waiting room. So go for it. See how it works.
Okay. I'm not seeing sound. You'll have to tell it that you want to join with your sound.
Oh, I need some more water.
Okay. See if I can. And the camera. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that. If you go down to the bottom, you're on a phone, it should still be on the bottom of your screen, and it should pull up choices, and you'll see one that says unmute and start video. If you just click both of those, whoever is on the Galaxy A20s, or at least start your audio so you can talk, because I can't unmute you even. But go ahead with the question, and when they get it figured out, we'll jump in.
All right. Scott says, I need to set up my farrowing pens. Farrowing meaning, you know, a pen where your pigs are going to have their babies. That's farrowing. And trying to keep it inexpensive. Yeah, that's smart. You want to keep it, you don't want to spend money unnecessarily. So that's good. I got 3 porta huts coming. Scott had asked us about what we use. I recommended a hut that I got from Farm Tech, and it's a cat hut. Bought them many years ago, and they're still working very, very good. I think they're about $500 a piece now, but it's something once you buy it for your farm, you're going to have it. You can look on Farm Tech if you want to see what those look like. As far as fencing, is it possible to only use T-posts with insulators and electric poly rope? Keyword there, is it possible? It is possible. However, so yeah, it's possible. But I think what Scott really is saying is, would you do it this way? And my answer would be absolutely not. Absolutely not. You want to be able to build the most durability into your fencing, pigs, especially pigs. And you have to be able to build redundancy in. Okay, now what Scott is doing, and I know this because I've looked at pictures of his place, he's been a little Garden of Eden there. So they have berry bushes, they have a garden, nice garden too. I don't know how they do such a good job on that. They have pigs, they have chickens, they have geese, they have ducks. Yeah, they call their place Clucks and Ducks. No, it's really something else. I kid them about that. So they have all these functions going on, and when you put pigs in the mix, it makes a lot of sense because pigs do fit in there. Especially if you have a big garden, you know, and you're harvesting zucchinis, and then you cut the tops off of them. What do? Throw it to the pigs, or you have too many zucchinis at the end of the season, and what do you do with them? They get to be about this big. You throw it to the pigs, right? So pigs are a great cleanup animal. They're great for building fertility into the soil, but it's sort of like juggling chainsaws. I mean, it's impressive when you keep pigs and you keep that close to the other functions that you're doing, but just like juggling chainsaws, if you catch the wrong end of it, it can be the end of your act. With pigs, and this has happened to me a couple of times now, they get out and they go for the garden, or they go for the flower garden, or they'll go in a building, right? And they'll start looking around for stuff. And it's happened a couple of times. There was one time I had a bunch of small pigs on our garden, and it was in the early spring, and we had them fenced in with hog panels, and there didn't seem to be any problem. We went to a museum, we got back, they'd been out all day, and they went through the lawn. They did a lot of damage. There was like 50 of them, and made a mess. There's still places around here where you can see that day. And after that happened, I said, you know what, I'm not gonna fool around with that anymore. So Scott, my answer to you is, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do this inexpensive, because you might try and save a little bit of money on fencing for your pigs, but it's going to cost you, right? Your wife's going to be right upset with you. Laughing about over there.
No, you're fine. I've just got somebody who's lined up ready to go and talk to you when you're done.
When the pigs get out and they destroy her flower garden, or they destroy all the work she's done in the garden or something like that. So my advice would be, build your pig area maximum security with total redundancy. So I recommend woven wire. And, people get pretty adamant about their fencing. I saw some of the responses on another page, and somebody got pretty upset that I said that hog panels are not good. Well, hog panels don't follow the contour the land, and when pigs want to get out of panels, they can get their nose under it and they can lift it. And even if you've got it stayed good as you think you can, they're powerful. Or if you have a single strand of electric wire on the inside of your woven wire, the pigs get to that and you know it could fail, but if it does, then they have to go through woven wire. At least, and you will catch that before, you know, because catastrophe sets in. So you can if you want. Do I recommend it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would say don't do that. Electric is your friend, and it is so inexpensive, and it is so effective on pigs. A single strand of liquid inside, 1 foot off the ground and 1 foot in from the fence. And the way I do it is I drive a 2-foot post. I take I get these little fiberglass poles that were tent posts for something else. A guy gave them to me years ago, but he gave me a whole pile of them. I cut them in half so they're 2 feet. I drive it in a foot, drill a hole through it, and then run wire through that so it's up off the ground 1 foot. And pigs learn to respect that really well. And I got a good hot fence around it. And I think that's what I would do if I were you, but it is definitely up to you, but there's my advice. I can get back to your other questions as soon as we take this Zoom call. This will be the first Zoom call that we've ever taken. New format, fortifying our position, making things better here. Let's go for it. Whenever you're ready.
All right.
Hello.
Right.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, great. Yay. Hi. This
How
is
you
a first for
doing?
me, so I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really good.
Good.
Can you tell us who you are?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I don't know how to change my name on there. I'm not Galaxy A20. That's my phone. But I am Tatum Miner, and I'm coming from Missaukee County here in Michigan.
Okay. I recognize that name.
Yeah. I actually spoke with you a day ago or so. Yeah.
Just all right. So I can fill in the audience on name. Her husband is currently serving his final 3 years in the Marines out at Pendleton, which is in California. And so Tatum and family are in Missaukee County, which is in my county, same county as me, on the northwest end of the county. And they're on 15 acres, and they're wanting to get a farmstead going. And she came across our information, I guess, and the tribe came along right at the right time. This is great. It's really nice. Tatum will be coming on Saturday, and I recommended that she printed off a Google map of her property, and then we can go through kind of an exercise at the table here. Jill can fill one out, I can fill one out, Tatum can fill one out, Tatum's kids can fill one out of how to set this farm up. And if I don't know how to work out, but who knows, maybe we can share this with the audience, and you know why we put this here and why we put this here, and Tatum wanted it here, Mark wanted it here, and then in the end you'll find out that Mark was right, you know, things like that. But,
I have no doubt about that.
my wife
Yes,
thinks
I'm the annoying newbie on the group, so please forgive me.
so. How may I help you? How may I serve you tonight?
Tonight, I'm actually just an observer. I have no questions thus far, but I'm sure if something comes in, I'll let you know.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, if she wants to hang out there. And if anyone else has a question, I'll post the link again.
Yeah, Joe will post the link. You can still listen to the show and you don't have to be on the Zoom call.
Right. But if you're on the Zoom call, then you can do just like Tatum and Mark did and have a conversation. If you can give us a super chat donation, if you join us on the Zoom, that would be great.
Yep.
But I'll post the link and you can join Mark face-to-face live.
Okay, so I have Jill right here and she's my secretary. So she's got the laptop. So let me go back on to Scott Burton's
Oh
questions.
yeah, hey, Scott's in the waiting room here. I'm gonna let him in.
Okay, well, Scott's in the waiting
There he
room.
is.
It was really nice to see you and looking forward to seeing you this weekend. Hey, are your kids boys or girls? My kids want to know. Can you hear me, Tatum? All right,
Oh, there you go.
there's
Yes,
Scott. Okay,
sorry.
I'm talking to Scott and Jen first time. How you doing?
Pretty good.
All right. Now, how do you want to do this? You want to tell me, you want to just shoot your question at me here, or you want to, how about you tell us where you started your journey and where you're wanting to end up? This is pretty neat.
Well, we want to end up doing it full time, raise our own food, process our own food, stop going to the store and getting the junk. As far as the pigs, we want to use the money from the piglets to help supplement the farm, the feed, and, get us to that point even quicker. Because we both work full-time jobs. My job has a health insurance. So
That's the kicker.
yeah, that's the big hurdle is the health insurance.
Okay, well, did you get the response to the first part of your question?
Yeah, I think we might stick with the Premier One fencing for now since they haven't gotten out, nor have they even made an attempt to get out yet. But
Yeah.
I was looking at the wedge lock system for the T-post. I know it's a pretty old system. But yeah, do the woven wire eventually. But for now, I think we're going to roll with the Premier One for the time being. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably, we have a good supply of the Premier One right now
Yeah.
in order to be able, because we use it to rotate our paddocks now.
Yeah.
So I feel like as far as cost effectiveness, use what we have first if it's working. So I think we definitely, with piglets on the way soon, I think we're going to have to set up something with the Premier One and then look to the future for a more permanent infrastructure.
Yeah, we use the Premier One's poultry netting. So the squares at the bottom are only 3 inches. So there's no way the piglets can get out of the fence. So the Premier
So
One.
we hope.
Yeah, so we hope. But I mean, Premier One's hog netting, that they could easily get out of that. I mean, it's cheaper, but I mean, the squares are like 10 inches, Plus, I don't trust the Mingalitzas with something that's only a couple feet high. I think that they can just hurdle right over those because our Mingas are pretty fast. They can actually chase me down and playfully just knock me over. I mean, our Mingas are extremely fast. So I could see them jumping over a 2-foot electric fence. So.
Well, here's what happens with those fences, all right? And this has happened twice here and happened to a friend of mine out in New York. Pigs, for whatever reason, they'll be playing something and they'll into that fence and they'll get tangled in it. And then they have a tendency to roll themselves up in it. All right. It happened to you, but it does happen. It happened to me with goats. I went around with that stuff twice. I thought the first time I hadn't used it properly, gave it away because it was hard to move. It was a pain. And I didn't like the way it looked either. And then I got a different color. I got dark green, and I didn't have any better luck with it. I mean, I had some luck with it, but you know, you got to find what works for you. It sounds like it is working for you. And
Yeah.
usually it'll work until it doesn't work. And then, and when they, like, if they get tangled up in it and they roll around in it, they'll take out all of it. And then the rest of the pigs will have free run of your property.
Yeah.
But you know, it gives you
luckily-
something to look forward to when you come home from work. That's
Our investment going down the road.
yeah.
But so far, we haven't had any problems. And I also stick extra rods in between the rods that already come stock inside the fence. So that way there's no sags. It gives the fence more stability. And even sometimes I put wooden stakes down and
Hold it
zip tie.
down. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been that
Well,
route before when they call for, bad windstorms, just to give it extra stability.
Okay. Okay.
And I used the double spikes. So if anyone's listening and you go the Premier One route with any livestock animal, do not get the single spike because they can just come right out of the ground. Get the double spike. It's only a couple extra dollars.
All right. What else can I do for you?
Oh, what else?
Mm,
I think that was our big hurdle, was figuring out, well, how big does a fairwing pen need to be?
And do they have to be separated from one another? Is it
Well-
okay to have two sows together in a
Oh,
large
yeah.
area, or do they all be separate?
No. What I do, I mean, everybody's going to have their own way that they do this, but this is where I've settled with this. I like to keep my group as a sounder. So one boar, and right now I have 4 sows, and they're all together. They're like a little family. So, they'll take care of these kids, and they'll all kind of come in at the same time. So you'll have all your piglets at the same time. And yeah, we leave the boar in with them. You don't have to. After he's impregnated the sows, he could care less about them, and he could care less about the babies too.
The problem that we have now is we have a barrow in with them, and I was told that the boar may think that those piglets aren't his, and he could kill the piglets. And I was told from actually the woman we got the 4 gilts from to keep the boar and barrow separated, because that might be an issue since we have a barrow with the boar.
Well, I've
No.
never heard that, and I couldn't even back that up because we keep them all together and have never had a problem with that. If she had a problem with that, that's probably why she said it. I've just not heard that. I haven't heard
Gotcha.
that. Once the boar is neutered and once he's no longer a boar, the boar doesn't see him as a threat. He treats him like a sow.
And see, that's what I figured.
That's what we noticed.
Yes, we noticed. He, yeah, I'll hold my words back. I was gonna say some stuff, but we noticed he has tendencies towards this male pig. So yeah, he does think that it's a sow. So yeah, you're right on that.
Oh yeah, he'll try to mate him and everything, but he knows he's,
Yeah.
But I
I wouldn't.
boars together right now. I have a young boar and a real old one, and they just stay out of each other's way.
Well, I witnessed firsthand.
How's that? Did you say
I
something?
witnessed, yeah, I witnessed, our board doing this thing, and it was an eye opener. I've never seen anything like that before. I was like, wow, I almost passed out. I can't wait for piglets to come. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to film it. I'm not going to bother the mama. I don't want no vets involved. Hopefully everything goes okay. But if I have to, I'll sleep out there with them and wait for the piglets to come and film it.
Yeah, first couple times you're going to be very attentive to what happens, but after a while, you'll come out in the morning and oh, here they are. You know, it's the Mangalitsa is a very self-sufficient animal, and if she's not a good mom, give her a couple of tries and then call her out and use her for sausage or whatever.
Right.
When you get good sows, they're very self-sufficient. You don't need to do very much. You've got mild weather where you're at, so you shouldn't have any problems. You're probably going to have more trouble with the heat than the cold. Up here, it's pretty cold, so we've had a few pigsicles in our days from just the extreme cold. But even in the extreme cold, they do very well. So.
Yeah, I wish we could say that. We haven't seen a snowflake yet, and it's like the first time in history we have not seen snow yet. It's horrible. I'm a snow lover.
All right, have you got any other questions for me? So we have somebody else waiting.
No, I think that's it, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thanks for coming by. We're going to make it down there one of these days.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
All right. Take care.
Yeah,
You
thanks,
too.
Mark.
Is Haven coming in?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can now. How you doing, Haven?
Good. How are you?
I'm going to help you with tonight. Oh, Haven froze. Must be really cold where you
Oh,
are.
I think.
Having the same internet we are probably.
I don't know if you can. You're a little choppy, but if you can hear me, I'll just get my question out. Then you can talk about it. It's about chicken tractor design.
Yeah.
I went back and watched a lot of your older videos on the reasons you did. You've got a peak roof on yours with a white tarp instead of the unexplained. The reason you did, the reason you built them that way, rather than just the straight, Joel Salatin style, and what you would suggest since I'm by you.
Okay. Originally, we designed them with a sheet metal roof. We used, there's two grades of sheet metal that you can get around here. One of them is an interior grade, and it's really light, but it was still very heavy. Still made the chicken tractor really heavy and difficult to move. So we decided to go with a tarp.
Right.
And we could get those made through Farm Tech. We send them the dimensions that we wanted, and they'll even sew a pocket on either side that we could use to pull that down nice and tight. And then we upgraded it even a little bit better, where we ribs on the roof that we made of electrical conduit. And from that, that design worked really good for a long time. And it was very light, very sturdy, because once we stretched the tarp down tight, it actually pulled the whole thing together. And it was light enough where the kids could move it without too much difficulty. And yet it would take the wind, because we get pretty windy here occasionally. The design was a good design, and we just hit it by accident. But when the wind hit it, it would actually pull it down to the ground instead of getting under it. But those chicken tractors were good. I mean, it was the best design that we had at the time. But working with that design, I've actually come up with a better design. And so the next generation, which I've actually secured the materials for it as we speak, instead of using the 1x4 pressure treated, I'm going to go with a womanized. It's a decking, and it's made out of, actually made out of recycled plastic. You see it, Menards has got it. It's a decking that it appears to be plastic. It's got a wood grain on it. And it comes in a 6-inch board, and I found a couple of them at McBain Building Supply, and they're just odd color pieces, and he's gonna let me cheap. And I'm gonna split them in half, so they'll be 3 inches, and I'll make a bottom frame that'll be 10 wide, 12 long, and then the ribs are gonna be made out of electrical conduit, 3/4 inch, or is it 3/4 inch, or no, 1/2 inch electrical conduit. It's 1/2 inch inside diameter. And you can get those pieces of conduit at Home Depot for.
We've got a lot of them around. We use a lot of that for curtain, like keeping our curtains from blowing on all of our barns. So we got a lot of that.
Yeah. And you can get a bender, so you can make radiuses on it. And so what I plan to do, I'm gonna make a PDF that I can make available on the Baker's Green Acres page. As I do this build, I'm gonna get Rachel to film it and make a PDF so we can share it. I'm gonna start on this pretty soon because I want them ready to go for spring. But it'll be 2 feet high, 10 feet wide. It'll be covered, for the ones on our place, it's gonna be covered 3/4 of the way, or maybe 7/8 of the way. And then the rest will not be covered. It'll be open. I don't have predation problems here because I have the big Great Pyrenees dogs, and they keep the predators away. So I'm chomping at the bit to build this thing because I think it's really going to be nice. I think it's going to be super tough. You'll be able to move them really easy. We don't use wheels on them. We use a skid on the back. Try to keep it as simple as possible.
Right.
And before I put the top on it, I'm going to run all the plumbing. The plumbing's going to be permanent, or as permanent as, can be. Yeah, this is going to be really nice. And I'll share that with you for sure. What we need to do is sit down and do a plan for your place.
Yeah, you mentioned that. We have done a little bit of that. Talking with my dad again, the plan up for that property up north of us is a little more long-term than we thought. So the plan is to, over the next 1 to 2 years, is to first do cover crops in with whatever we plant up there this year, and then maybe do like a pasture mix with a wheat, so that we can go in there in the summer and take the wheat off, and then it will have that pasture mix in there already, or something like that. That's the idea long term. But I think what we'll do this spring is we're going to do a couple chicken tractors at my brother's place, a mile or so away from our house, and do that. And my brother and dad actually want to do some pigs, so thinking about getting some Brookshire pigs. They were thinking about Tamworth. So yeah, it's exciting. We're gonna try a little bit of everything, I think.
I know who's got some Tamworths. There's somebody in the tribe that's got some Crystal Brummans. Has
Okay.
I want to contact her. Or actually, who's got pigs right up by you? Robert Podolsky's got some nice ones.
Oh, does he?
His are nice.
Okay.
Part Manga, part Hereford. They're pretty nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank
So
you very much.
waiting.
Lots of good information. I appreciate it.
All right. It's good to get to know you. We'll
Yeah.
catch you on the other side.
Sounds good.
All right.
Great. I have her first one, are cedar wood chips safe to use around pigs and piglets?
Yes.
And 2, she has a gilt and she's not sure if she's bred or not. Is it possible she's an alpha and doesn't want to breed, even if the boar tries to breed her, and he seems like he has? And if she simply won't breed, do we sell her or butcher her?
If she won't breed, then you're going to want to butcher her, and you'll still do all right on her. I'm assuming she's going to be kind of big. You could turn her into sausage, and you can still do really well with her. You know, if you sell your sausage for $6 or $7 a pound, you'll get a pile out of her, and you'll make your money back on her. But that whole alpha female thing, I don't know about that. I've heard that, but I wouldn't know how to verify that. So I think you have a pig psychologist come in and sit down with a clipboard or something. So I don't know about that. Sometimes sows just don't want to be bred. I mean, I've seen several situations where they just won't. They just don't want to do it. And you can try things like giving them a couple of beers, you know, loosen them up. I don't know. Maybe a movie or something. But sometimes they just won't. And that's the way it goes. You just have to make the best of the bad situation. But at least give her a chance for a while, because I've had sows that didn't take on the first round, and then they became really productive, you know, girls to have around here. So I don't think you should give up on them too quick. And, you know, you are doing the thing. So you're going out and scrounging food and stuff like that. So time is not going to be something that's working against you. If you're going to the feed mill and you're buying feed every day, that sow is eating 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 pounds of feed, and it's costing you, right? But if you're scrounging your food, then time is not such a big issue. The worst that can happen is if she's 400 pounds and you let her stay around for a while, now she's 500 pounds. So, you know, you just gained, you know, if that extra 100 pounds is all going into sausage and you're going to get $6 a pound for sausage, oh, well, you know, you haven't lost anything. So I don't think it should be too quick to pull the trigger on her, you know. Maybe get her some like bush light or something like that.
She said she's got to be close to 250 pounds or so, and young. She's only a year old.
Oh, no, you're not even, no. Let it go. Let it play out. She should be at least 2 years old before you say she's not, you know, she's just young. A year old, that's pretty young. I was watching your video, for those of you that don't know, on the tribe page, Brittany had a litter and they all died except for one. And it was way over there in Minnesota, and they have tough winters, and it just happened when they had a cold snap, and you know, tough luck. But Brittany saved 2 of them, brought them in the house. One of them didn't make it. And you know, one of them did. So the video that I saw was the little striped pig that was playing with your dog, and that looks like that could be, you know, because when it's time for that pig to go back outside, you might have a hard time doing that. But I know that's happened around here. We've had pigs that stayed in the house a lot longer than they should have, just because the kids got attached to them. Okay. Anything else waiting? Some faces there.
Charles. Oh, does it matter that she is the sister to the boar?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to do that if you can help that. That's interlitter breeding, and you want to avoid that when you can. Now, I'm assuming these are Mangalitas. You're in a little bit better shape than you would be if they were the highly hybridized pigs that come out of CAFOs, because in the wild they would breed interlitter breeding anyway. And you know, those pigs that you see, the wild pigs, they actually are really really tough, you know, so you can't always say that you're going to wind up with a bunch of birth defects. However, I think if it was me, I would avoid it. I wouldn't promote it. I would avoid that if I could. That's my thoughts on that.
Yep. Charles Bookwalter just super chatted us.
Charles.
Aston Haven.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
So I'm kind of
Thank you
waiting
very
if
much.
Charles is going to join us in Zoom.
What we kind of did was we said, if you're going to do a video Zoom, if you could super chat, and that's where you make some sort of donation, and we don't want to put a dollar amount on it because some people might not be able to do it. And if Mr. Trump calls in, I don't want to limit him to a $10 donation. He may want to, really super chat me. So I see somebody on there.
Okay. Nope, not yet.
No? His microphone is still got
Did you
a
have something else that you were going to talk about?
cross through it.
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything else to talk about. Right now, this format's getting me kind of off my foundation because I don't see the words coming in on the side.
Yeah.
So is it still happening?
Yeah. Not much chatter tonight.
Do you have a question?
You know what, Sam? Oh, change out the one bore for new bore. Yeah. Sam, perennials less visible than livestock / gardens to intruders. Mushrooms, maple syrup, walnuts, apple trees, raspberry in forest. Yes. I wonder if he's talking there about having and I know somebody else knows the term, where you have hedges and that.
Like a food forest?
Yeah, screens.
Hedgerows?
Yeah, there's another good word for it that I'm just not thinking of.
Hugel mounds?
No, not Hugelma.
I don't. Is this a question or a statement or what? I'm not digging it.
I think he's thinking about making a visual barrier so you don't look so much like a farm. So planting like perennial hedgerows and that kind of stuff.
In the front of the property?
Yeah, around the property.
Is he asking me if it's a good idea or?
Can you comment on it?
Can I comment on it? Yeah, like it's kind of nice to have privacy. So whatever you're doing on your place is kind of your business. On my place, the way it's set up is you have to come up the driveway and then we're on the hill and then everything that goes on is in the back and you can't really see it from the road. You can see it from far down the road, but you have to have binoculars. So I like that. I like a little privacy. If I, some days want to do work in my Speedos, for instance, I don't want the mail lady gawking at me. So yeah, it's nice to have a little privacy. I wouldn't mind putting some trees up, and I suppose if I was going to put trees up, I would put trees up that are going to benefit everybody that lives there. So if you put nut trees up, that would benefit you. If apple trees, definitely a benefit. We have apple trees and they are huge. We eat off of them and then the animals eat off of them too. So it's just a huge supply of sustenance. So I plant a lot of berry bushes. I continually plant berry bushes because it's just nice to have plants that are coming up every year, and certain time of the year you go out there and there's just fruit all over them and you get to eat it. It's just a really nice thing to have. I do raspberries. I have 2 or 3 different types of raspberries, and then I'd like to get into more asparagus. So you didn't mention it, but I did. Hugel mounds are a tremendous way to go. My buddy Randy up in the UP, he does them. He's got long, big hugel mounds and just creates an incredible amount of food off those things. And the beauty of them is, might take a little research to figure it out, but you dig a trench, you fill it with first manure and then wood. It can be any kind of wood. It can be cordwood, can be deadfall out of the forest, and then you mound up over that. And the mounds, some of them are huge, as high as 20 feet high. I've seen them. And people will plant all up the side of them. So if you put tomatoes at the top, they'll come down the side, they'll cascade down over the side, and they'll root all the way down. And the beauty of this thing is the roots from the plants that you're going to be harvesting off of go deep into this, and they're sucking the nutrients out of that wood that's in there. And also that wood helps to hold a lot of moisture, so you're not constantly watering this thing. And they become a permanent fixture on the farm. They can become barriers. If you've ever watched any documentaries of World War II in France, they had hedgerows, and I'm not sure why they built hedgerows, actually. I'm not sure if it was just to keep animals in or what, but was it? But they were almost impenetrable to tanks. They'd have to hit holes through them with their main gun and then take a run to drive through them. They were really tough. Got any more questions?
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what he was getting at. Most farms say, here's my food. And so perennials make security.
A good barrier. Yeah, security
Yep.
barrier. So maybe you were coming at this from a prepping point of view.
Mhm.
If you've,
Dual purpose.
yeah, a term that I heard, I don't remember the name of the YouTuber, but it was a woman, and a Christian woman, because she went into a Bible verse at the end. She was a prepsteader, so a prepper and a homesteader. Pretty interesting. And she had some really neat things to say. It was one of those auto things that come up. I was listening to something else and it just came on. So I don't recall her name. But she was talking about being a prepper and a prepsteader. And so I've talked a little bit about that. And for me, it's not so much of I'm preparing for a zombie apocalypse. And this is what I was explaining to my son this morning. I was a Boy Scout. So the Boy Scout motto is be prepared. So when when you go camping, you're prepared. And I did a lot of that when I was a kid. Or when you go fishing, you have to be prepared. When you are going to go to the drive-in with your girlfriend, you have to be prepared, right? So there's all kinds of things that you have to be prepared. And I've always just thought things through and increased my my resiliency. All right. So when something hits, when a storm comes out of nowhere and it hits, I can swim through it because I'm prepared, right? So that's the whole idea of a farm. To be prepared is I'm not going to stock up on a year's worth of food and hope that that's going to carry me through the rest of my life. But I have a facility here that I'm building the fertility. I'm building pens, I'm building fields, I'm learning and growing my skill set. So that storm that's on the horizon, when it hits, I'll stand a better chance of coming out the other side of it, because I can just up my game. I can produce food, and that's, in tough times, that's all you really need is food, water, and a warm place to stay. You don't even need a warm place to stay, but it's kind of nice to have a warm place to stay. And then all the other little things like a shower, that's kind of nice. And a means to preserve what you've put together. Which makes me think of a point that I'd like to address. We talked a little bit about prepping, and I brought it to you because I feel like I have a responsibility. Hey, I better bring this up. Some of you guys are working during the day, and you come home, you have a little bit of time to listen to a video about something you might want to do in the future, and you may not have heard that there's this pandemic deal. So I thought I should tell you. Well, someone close said, well, I'm not going to live in fear. This is not about living in fear. It has nothing to do with fear. This has everything to do with me as somebody who has responsibility to the people that live here, my children and my wife, and then my community. I have responsibility to them. I'm not going to be able to fulfill those responsibilities. I'm destitute and hungry and wounded. If I take a few preparations, I'm hydrated, I've got food in my stomach, I'm well rested, and I can fulfill my responsibilities to my people here in my community and step forward when it's time to. If you need to step forward and you need to do something, you can't do that if you're destitute and hungry. So preparedness is not fear. It is not fear. That is not it. Fear does not really motivate me. That's not it. So it's not a fear factor. This isn't fear porn or anything like that. As farmers, I'm preparing for spring now. I'm getting prepared. Am I afraid of spring? No, but I know it's coming and I have to be ready for it. And then, of course, going into summer, I have to prepare for that because there's things I do in the summer that I cringe when I think about having to do them, but I have to do them because it's part of what I do as a small farmer here. Same thing going into winter. There's parts of it that I just absolutely cringe doing, but I have to do it. And, March can be one of the toughest months. We're working through that though, by the way. We may have found the cure for March Madness, but I can't tell you right now. Is there another question?
Yeah, I got a few of them for you.
Okay.
Charles wanted to know, do you bring your dogs in the house?
Lately here, we have been bringing our dogs in the house. We have Great Pyrenees dogs, and their function in life is to be guardians of the livestock that's here. And I got them. Joel Salatin is the one whose kid recommended them to me. If you weren't at the show last night, I showed this book, and it's actually, you can find it on, oh, wait a minute. That's one of them. I showed that one, but that's not the one. This is the one. This is where I started. And I think is it in the description, the books, or do they have to go to?
I'll add it.
Okay, Jill will add it to the description, but it's an old book, but it's really pertinent. So we got the dogs to protect the livestock because we were losing chickens, and it was a serious morale problem. You go out in the morning and it's just feathers and guts, and I had a lot of chickens going in the. It's very irritating. I mean, you get mad, you get really mad, and in this book he talks about the characteristics of the kills, so you know what you're dealing with. And if you think that you're going to, solve that with a gun, I'm here to tell you you're not going to, because you would have to be out there. And even if you were out there, if you doze off for a minute, because when you have that many chickens in a chicken tractor, the predators come from miles around just to eat your chickens. The only way is a dog. So we have these Great Pyrenees dogs. Their function is to be outside so they can patrol during the night. The female, we left her out when she was very young, and I think that was because she would get scared, and then she would start to bark, and the barking was kind of a like she was trying to keep something back. Perfect. You hear that? That's not the female though. But so we couldn't leave her out because she did not respond back when you tell her to shut up. She would continue to bark. She's scared. So we brought her in, and she stays in at night. And she's used to coming in when the sun goes down, or when we're getting ready to go to bed, we'll go out and yell for her, and she comes in. Now that's a good thing. We have two of them. We have two dogs. We have a male and a female. So I want her in at night, and that provides security in the house. All right. So we're fast asleep. Bad guys want to come through the door. She's going to hear them. She's going to bark. I'm going to lock and load. No more bad guys. Right. So it's like it's like a security service in the house. And the male, he's outside. Can I get some more of that? I am really parched. He's outside. And but lately here, this winter, he's been like, hey, can I come in too? And he's getting kind of old. So we've been letting him in. There's not much going on at night. There's not a bunch of animals to protect anyway. So we have been letting him in. But come summer, thank you, he will be staying out as usual. I mean, if not leaving him out, they can't really do you any good in your poultry operation. And if you're going to run a pasture poultry operation, predation is just part of it. You have to expect it, and the dogs head it off. And I wouldn't do it without the dogs. I just wouldn't. It's too, and even with the dogs, last year we had a fox that was out smarting us. He was out smarting us, but I'm going to get him this year. Is there another question?
Lone Star, what expenses can you expect for raising a group of 10 or less cows? And do you have a bull?
Expenses. All right. I'll take the, how you doing, Lone Star? I'll take the back end of that first. I don't have a bull. I did for a long time until I discovered, and I lost, well, he was actually taken from me. I loaned him to a guy, and then the guy sold him, or that's what he said he did. I don't know. I'm not sure if he did or not. I really don't know. But anyway, that was a big mistake loaning him out. But when that happened, I decided that I was going to go the AI route, and that's artificial insemination. And it's a little unnatural. So what you have to do is you have to give your cows a shot of luteolase, and it forces them to abort. All right, their eggs, right? And it brings it's so you give them all a shot, and then they all cycle the same. And then so many hours after the second shot you give them, the AI man, AI man shows up, and he's got a canister with dry ice in it. It's got to be really cold. And then he's got straws in there with semen in it, and you can get any kind of semen you want. So, the straw of semen is whatever, $5, $10, $30 for the best there is. And then his service to come out is, I think, $50. And he reaches in there and he puts it in, and he's talking and smoking a cigarette the whole time. Does it all day long, and voila, your cow is pregnant. And so, a $50 service call, and then for the semen, let's say you spend $100, which I didn't, and he did 3 cows for me. It was far less than that. The problem with keeping a bull, for me, I mean, it might not be for you, but for me, I have little kids here, and my little kids like to have their little kid friends come over, and little kid friends, you can't always impress on them that, see that thing will kill you. You cannot ensure that they understand what you're saying, because they don't fathom that, you know, and they'll wander in there and, you know, the bull can kill them. And bulls kill people every year. I think in the United States, it's cows kill or bovine kill
Yeah.
more people than anything else. And even a mean cow can kill somebody. I've been gored by a heifer. I didn't know her. I was at a sale barn. I was helping out. Somebody was having a sale. And I just looked to the side for a second and bam, she got me and got me up against the wall and lifted me up. And there was some smarter guys there that were on it quick. I didn't get hurt, you know, ripped my pants, but it just didn't hurt me. Could have. I mean, she was a 1,500-pound animal. Could have killed me. Could have broke my pelvis or my back or something. So it's nothing to fool with. So for me, and you know, I know people that have said, "Oh, my bull is just as tame as can be." I don't trust that, and I don't trust raccoons either. You know, they can seem very tame, but then all of a sudden they get insulted or their feelings hurt, and then they want to kill you. So I'm not interested in keeping a bull here anymore. The bull that I had two of them actually, and both of them did a lot of damage on different occasions, and we didn't realize how powerful they were. So I don't recommend it. Why do it when you can have a AI service come in and impregnate your cows? But now if you're, you know, my age and no kids around and you're running a ranch and it's just you and maybe your wife and, you know, there's no kids around, and you have, say, 60 cows, well, then, you know, that's not someplace where you're going to have a sandbox in the middle of it for kids. So there are times when having a bull is a lot more, makes a whole lot more sense than bringing the AI man in. Then beef too are different than dairy cattle. In my dairy cows, they come in to get milked, and when they're standing there getting milked, I can give them a shot of Lulase. They don't even know I did it. But a beef cow not used to being handled, try to get him in a headstock. You know, it's a lot of work to do it. But a beef cow, when she is ready to be bred, she'll stand there for the bull, and he can get the job done. And there's ways that you can put stuff on her back. There's like a way to put dye on her back. You can even do it with a what are those guns? Like a marker gun, paintball gun. You paint her up, and you can see if those blotches have been smeared by the bull when he mates her, and that's your day. That's when they're usually pretty effective. How's that? I'm just hitting the mountaintops there, Lone Star.
Kurt wanted to know, do you have any sows that just breed once a year? He has two blondes, and they only breed in October, farrow in January, and don't breed back till the next October. He weans his little pigs at 8 weeks, and they just don't breed back till October.
No, I've never had that. I'm thinking it, you know, the common denominator there is the boar. No, I never had that. I don't know what to tell you on that. It would be unlikely that you'd have two sows that were functioning that way. It would be more likely that the boar is only breeding them once. But I don't know what to tell you on that. That's something that time probably will teach you the lesson, and you'll be able to tell us. Maybe add a third sow, or, I mean, if you really need to know what's going on.
Yeah, maybe those two sows are just part-timers and would make better sausage and keep replacement sows or something like that.
Yeah, get some replacements and cycle them out. maybe try a different boar. I don't know what to tell you because I haven't heard of that before. Got another one?
Yeah, Lone Star reminded me that he'd asked an expenses part of that. What expenses can you expect for raising a group of 10 or less cows?
Lone Star's out in Texas. Well, the main expense is going to be feed. If you are on big pieces of land like I know they have out in Texas, then it could be that you're grazing, you know, you're able to graze them, and then your feed would be a whole lot less or none, because I think you probably have grass right around the calendar there, like they do in Hawaii. Are we talking cows? Are we talking beef cows? Are we talking milk cows or beef cows?
He didn't say.
You didn't say. I think it's beef because you're not a milker.
Yeah.
Beef cows. Other expenses. Well,
Vets?
yeah, vet expenses. I mean, if you're talking beef cows, all right, there is going to come a time when you're going to have to handle them. All right. So usually you have some place where you can get them into a corral type scenario. And this is something that you're going to have to really research, and it has to be done right. You cannot set up a bunch of pallets, you know, and hope you're going to, you know, move beef cows around, because beef cows can jump. And so a lot of times what guys will use is railroad ties, the long ones, and then guardrails, right? And then you have a corral that you can get them in. If they're out a lot on the range, they forget what human beings are. And that's why guys handle them with horses, because they can be wild. I mean, and then the learning curve on that is pretty steep. You know, you don't know how to rope a cow, you know, or rope a steer. But the way I do it, I'm rotationally grazing them. So they see me every day because I go out and I move the lead fence and then I bring up the drag fence. Okay, so the lead fence will be where they want to go, but they can't because there's a fence there and it's got electricity in it and it'll bite them, and they figure it out real quick. And then I ride out there with my motorcycle. So they're like, oh, here he comes, here he comes. And I get in there, I start moving the fence. They get all happy because they get fresh, you know, grass. And it's sort of a ritual, really, because they may still have plenty of grass. I'm not letting the grass go down to, you know, nothing, because the reason I'm doing rotational grazing is because I preserve the life of my field, and, you know, bring its longevity up and its ability to regenerate up. So when I do move them, generally they still have feed, but, you know, it's sort of like, I don't know, it's sort of like dinner time. You know, people get happy. Oh, we're going to eat. Are they starving? No, but they'll jump around and they'll get all happy and stuff like that. So they stay under control because we have a system, and I'm never pushing them. But when you have a lot of beef cattle, it's different because they're a different animal, for one. Mine are half beef cow and half milk. So I have a herd of milk cows, and then I inseminate them with beef cow, beef breeds, just so I get a halfway good beef cow. But I'm doing all of this out on pasture anyway, so you know, the growth rates are going to be different. It's a completely different animal. I know when it comes time for you to pick the type of cattle that you're gonna utilize, of course you're probably gonna have to take what's available, unless you have your own 707 and you can head over to Japan and pick up some nice Wagyu cattle. If you want to do that, take me with you. Expenses. Yeah, a good handling area. I mean, if you're going to get serious about it, there is nothing better. I've seen some real beauties. I know this one guy that actually went over to Japan with a 707 and actually brought a herd of cattle back, right? So it is done. And he had a pavilion built, and that pavilion wound up, they had to put walls on it so the cows couldn't see out. And once they got in it, it was like a maze, and they would just start moving and trying to find their way through it. And then they would get to the end and, oh, well, there's a head stall there. So they're in it, and then you can give them a shot. You can trim their hoofs. You can give them a brand. You can do anything you want to them. And they're very powerful animals. And then you turn them loose and everything's been done to them. But then they kind of learn. They don't want to go in there again. You got to trick them to get them in there, you know. So the whole thing is, it takes a lot of smarts to do. It's not like Mike Bloomberg said. You don't just you just get a cow and you just milk the cow. That's it. You can teach anybody to do that. Sure you can, Mike. So hope that helps you there, Lone Star. Lone Star has helped us out with super chats a lot of times. I think one of these days we ought to talk on the phone, see if I can help you out a little bit more.
I don't have any more questions.
No more questions? How much time
Deborah Evans just
have we been on?
Oh, Lone Star, do you trim the hoofs?
If it's
We've never trimmed hoofs.
no, if they're range cattle, which mine would be kind of considered range cattle, because I don't keep them in a lot and just feed them, right? They are walking several miles a day. They walk out to where they're going to eat, and they have a like a trail going out there, and the trail gets a little further every day. So they start out very close to the barn, and then I'm moving the fences depending on what field it is. Sometimes 20 feet, sometimes 80 feet, sometimes 10 feet if it's a really wide, lush field, you know, in say June, and the grass is just lush and just, you can hear it growing. You don't have to give them much. See, and this is what you're going to want to think about too. Are you talking about just steers? And steer meaning a bull that's been castrated, a bull being a male. You castrate him and then he's steered. If you don't castrate him, he's dangerous, in my opinion. If you're just talking steers, those would be what is called feeders. All right, so you're just feeding them. Their hooves are never gonna, you know, if you feed them out 2 years or 3 years, like we do, we let them go 3 years on grass. You get killer steaks when you let them go a little longer. You will never have to trim the hoofs. If it's a cow, you know, being a mother, and if like my cows, they're walking, so they're wearing their hoofs down. The cows that are in confinement, which is they go from the milk parlor to a little bedroom called the loafing shed. They lay down, they eat, they drink, they get up and they go back to the parlor, they get milked, and it's just like that. They never wear their hoofs down. And so they have to bring a guy in to put her on this table. You know, he walks her into the thing, and then it squeezes her, and then it lifts her up like this, and she freaks out, and then he trims her hoofs with pneumatic tools and stuff. It's brutal. It's I don't know. I don't like it. But no, you won't have to do that if you're grazing them. You won't have to do it. But I kind of need to know, like, are you talking milk cows? I don't think you are. Or are you talking? Okay, so that's what's called a cow-calf pair. So you're going to be weaning the calves off and then impregnating them again. You're going to be going through that cycle every single year. And so every one of your cows out there should have about two offspring, a young, a yearling, and then, a 2-yearling. So no, you won't be trimming their hoofs. I'm thinking if you're gonna move them around. You might, I don't know. We'll have to get the specifics down. And check with other guys out there and see what they're doing too. That might be helpful. It's worth taking a drive around, and if you see somebody that's got a cow-calf operation, see if you can get an appointment with them. See if, say I want to do this, Sometimes you'll come across somebody that will help you.
Shout out, Tatum did a $50 super chat.
All right. Thanks, Tatum. Appreciate that. You'd stay for lunch.
Danielle Yoder wanted to know if you're growing a garden this year.
Of course. Yeah, we have to have a garden. That's what we live off of. That reminds me, one of my contacts, actually, it's the guy that sent me, it's Jim P. He's the guy that sent us the grow light. You can see the grow light through there. You see that light? It's like the sun in there. And I'm going to do a video on that. He's actually sent me all the specs on that light and why that light is the light that you're going to want to get. And by the way, he's got 8 of them left, but because the shortage is coming out of China, that's going to be it. And he doesn't know when the shipments are going to, he's going to be able to get the parts. So I'm going to make a video on that in a day or two, and I'll bring you up to speed on that. But he said today that I should he told me, and I said I would pass it on, that we should probably think about getting our seeds now, ASAP, because a lot of people are going to see any kind of shortage like this as a good reason to buy a lot of them and then bump the price on them and sell them to you for more. So go ahead and get your seeds and think about, a plan of redundancy. A garden is a great way to print money. You're creating stuff that you can live off of, and you're not paying anything for it. You get your hands in the dirt and you're learning stuff. It's a good skill set to have. We've been doing it for years and years and years, and I love it now. I could see a day when I'm doing less rigorous things and just hobbling out to the garden in the morning and staying there until noon. I could do it. I can see that with my straw hat, and yeah, barefoot. Yeah, I can see that. Maybe I'll start smoking a pipe. Maybe I'll get into naked gardening. I hear that's fun. But sure, yeah, we're going to do it, and I think everybody should. But get your seeds now. And then a skill set that you're going to want to acquire is seed saving. And that's something that we could do an entire show on that. There's all kinds of different methods and different reasons for saving seeds. We save tons of seeds. And now we have there was a time, okay, when seed saving to me seemed like another one of those things that we do that this seemed like, why do we do this, right? But now all the seeds that maybe we save and then the next year we don't use them because we had too many, and you think maybe we'll trade them with friends and stuff, and it doesn't happen. Those seeds, you can bring those in the wintertime and sprout them and eat what comes out of them. Or now I have my grow light. I can grow stuff all winter long under that grow light. I'm told. All right, I haven't actually done it. I have corn growing in there right now in February, and about this high. So that's pretty cool. I don't know where that's going. It's more like an experiment. And that was because we had all these seed that we saved, Here, I'll show you. I got 2 of these. That's corn, and it's popcorn. So it's a heritage breed, and we used all we wanted, and then we dried the rest and put it in jars. I have 2 of them. We had 3 of them. And the idea was, well, we'll pop it in the wintertime and kids can eat it and everybody can eat it. But it cross-pollinated with sweet corn, so it didn't pop very well. So Jill ground a bunch and made corn bread, biscuits, and all kinds of stuff. And that's good. We're eating that, and you can live on that. It's really good stuff. But then she took some of it and spread it out on a pan, put a little bit of water in there, and then drained it off, and then just left it. And they sprouted, and they're up about that high. I showed them to you the other day. And she's been actually clipping off handfuls of that, putting it in a blender with other stuff, and giving it in a glass in the morning, and I drink that for my breakfast. And so the purpose is there's life in those seeds, and all they need is a chance to grow, and then we can ingest them, and we've taken the life into ourselves. Instead of, you know, like a macaroni and cheese, it's completely dead, or a top ramen noodles, completely dead. There's no life force. All it does is make you feel like, okay, I had lunch, but it doesn't do anything for you. So Jill's been working on the abundant living, you know, thing. I do the anyone can farm. She does the abundant living thing. And we are both convinced that your health is far more directly related to the food that you eat than we ever gave credit to. You know, we came out of the military and we were so happy because we had insurance. So we can go to the hospital in town. We can go to the doctor in town. And you don't want to be going there. You want to do preventative maintenance. You want to give this body all the advantages that you can so it stays healthy, so you don't have to go there. And so I got good insurance, but we never use it because we're, you know, knock on wood, we're pretty healthy. Our kids are healthy and everybody's healthy. So it has a lot to do with these things. And I think this is one of the fastest that people are after with the tribe. They're trying to get their way to a place where they're sustaining their own selves. They're in touch with their food. They know what they're eating. They know where their meat came from. And all the scary stories are irrelevant. You know, when I hear that the shrimp that you get when occasionally you go out to eat and there's shrimp on the menu and they feed that pig manure, the Chinese feed it pig manure. I don't know if that's true. I don't know where the shrimp came from. I eat it because I grew up eating shrimp as a kid, but the scary stories, I don't like them anymore. Same thing with salmon. Oh, Fukushima, you know, well, I don't have to deal with that because we grow our own fish, right? And there's no Fukushima over here. So this is some of the reasons why people are doing this. And I'm finding that it's why I do it too. I like nothing better than in the summertime to, you know, it's like before lunch and you're just kind of hungry. And then you think, cucumber. Walk over the garden, pull a cucumber out. It's so good. And it just satisfies this body of mine. Or, you know, an apple out of the tree, or, you know, a handful of radishes out of the garden, or whatever's in, you know, whatever's in, I can eat it. And then even some of the stuff that you wouldn't even think about eating. A zucchini about this long. It's pretty good, actually. I mean, it's better than nothing, right? It's probably does your body a lot of good. So I'm blabbing. Is there anything that,
Yeah, I got a couple questions.
okay, but
I'm
yeah,
gonna
it's
do
gonna
this in
do,
reverse order and do Jonathan's first,
all
because
right.
it kind of goes with what you're talking about. Do you use just the VA or, oh, this is Jonathan Pierce, Brittany's husband. Do you use just the VA or some super special Air Force healthcare?
Oh, well, if you retire from the military, like you go 20 years, then you get what they call TRICARE. And then I can take that any place I want. But if you are in for less than 20 years and you don't retire, then you have to go to the VA. And the VA, you know, until recently, the VA was backed up so far that GIs were, you know, shooting themselves in the parking lot. It was pretty routine. But I mean, I know this to be true. This president has said, wait a minute, we allocate how many dollars for the care of these individuals?
You know that he's Army.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I mean, somebody's got to do that job, right? So now, if the VA can't get you in, they have to, by law, refer you to a civilian counterpart. If they don't, there is a hotline you can call at the White House. And I am told that President Trump sends out the evil monkeys, and they are terrorizing the VA. All right, I have a sister that works for the VA. So the VA is like, okay, we're gonna start working for our money. They're getting so much money, and their service has been horrendous. It's just horrendous. When I was in active duty, we used to joke around about the hospital. We call it the medical hobby shop. But then when I got out and went to civilian hospitals, it's like it wasn't so bad. Actually, it wasn't bad at all. So I prefer, honestly, to stay out of hospitals. I have to go there when I break bones or get deep cuts. But other than that, I am making it my goal to stay out and keep my body healthy by eating good stuff.
All right, Scott, and then I'm gonna have to bug up.
Okay.
It's on bed. Scott wanted to know what legumes can he broadcast for the Mangalitas. He doesn't have a seed driller.
Yeah, you don't need that. You don't need a seed driller. Scott's asking what he can plant for his pigs. So a drill is a farm implement that you would use to plant seeds if you need to plant them at a certain interval and a certain width and a certain depth, all right? And you're doing that because whatever you're planting, you are hoping that you can harvest it and take it to market. So you want consistent sizes and you want it to all mature at the same rate. So if you put it the same depth and at a correct interval and a correct width, your chances of doing that are better. When you're planting for Mangalitas or planting for pigs, the pigs are going to do the harvesting. The pigs don't care if your legumes, a legume would be like a field pea. What else would be a good example of a legume?
Leftover bean seeds from the garden.
Beans are legumes.
I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I am kind of too. I don't do a whole lot of that. I do field peas for sure. But when you plant them for your pigs, a different rate of maturity is good because you don't want them all coming in at the same time. So the pigs are gonna, you know, just like if you went out there into the field and you saw, you know, a carrot this big and then another carrot this big, you may want the one that's just big, so you would pull that one. But then this one, you're going to give it time to become that big. So you want stuff coming in at different times when you're planting for your field. And that type of planting is called forage planting. So your pigs are the ones that are going to be doing the harvest. So you don't want to use a drill. Plus the expense of a drill, and you have to have a tractor to pull it. When you're planting for pigs, the pigs are going to do the harvest. So they're actually going to be preparing your field for the next planting. And the next planting can be done just broadcasting the seed. I have a little organ grinder, they call it. You know, it's a little thing, a bag you fill with seed, and then you crank this thing and it throws them out in a nice pattern. And then I go over it with, they call it a bed spring. You know, you just drag something over it. And I have something that I made out of a piece of grater blade and some chains, and I welded some railroad spikes to it so it would kind of rough things up a little bit. And I have a tractor that I can use, but if you don't have one, you could use an ATV, you could use a Jeep, you could get the kids out, get Jen out there, you know, get her out there just pulling the thing along. You know, so you don't want to fool around with a drill. You just want to be a broadcasting type guy, and you're going to want to do field peas in the spring. And I don't want to appear to be too, I got talked to about that the other day. I am not briefing you, I'm sharing with you. Okay, so my experience has been in the spring, field peas are a good choice. How's that? I'm sharing with you. I'm not briefing you. Because they grow well in the spring and when it's cool. And then as the season goes on, you can plant stuff that does better in warmer soils, like radishes, forage radishes, daikon radishes, mangels. Later in the season, you can plant turnips. Purple top turnips are good. I do really well with them.
He said his mangas hated radishes and turnips. Go figure. And so I can drag a railroad tie and chain link fence.
You can. If Jen can handle it. I think she could handle the chain link fence. I don't know about the railroad tie. I don't know. Railroad tie, that reminds me of a funny story. But anyway.
And the radishes and turnips, they sometimes like those better. Those are good to plant for fall, right? When
Yeah.
they're going to get cold and then
Yeah.
it sets the sugar.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually took a beating about that because somebody didn't, they didn't adhere to the radishes you want to do. See, up where I am, it's cold most of the year. Like where I am, the snowmobiling ain't so good a couple months of the year. So we have a lot of cold weather. So what happens when it gets cold and you have radishes that are in the ground is they will draw the sugar out of the soil, but the soil's got to be good. So you're always working on your soil to get it up and to get the fertility up, which is a quest to do that. So as soon as it gets cold, you get that first freeze, all of a sudden the pigs are like, hey, these things don't taste so bad. And then they start digging, and they'll be pretty busy all winter long digging frozen radishes and frozen turnips out of the ground and eating them. And if they're busy, that's good. That's good.
Plus they get moisture out of it.
And moisture out of it too. Yeah.
Jonathan wondered, do you just broadcast corn seed as well?
Yeah, you can. You sure can. Corn's a little bit more finicky. It must be covered up. So probably want to get Jen over there with her railroad tie and chain link fence to get that stuff in. The problem you run into is if you have seed laying out on top of the ground, it's going to bring the birds, and they'll take what they can get. So you want to try and get it under the soil. And like what you're doing is you're actually adding seed to the seed bank in the soil. All right. So a lot of them won't germinate because they'll be too deep, but next year they will, or the next time. So my grow area, it's 300 by 100. And I'm going to show you this on a dry erase board one of these days, because this is really it is a phenomenal way to create forage for your pigs, real cheap too. And it brings the fertility of the ground, goes through the roof. It just goes through the roof. So it's a really good thing that we've developed. I want to show you how we do it, but you might want to try that. And I think Scott has probably seen those videos. So I will plant as early as I can, and I'll get those pigs on that field as soon as that field has got enough forage on there that it's going to keep them busy for a little while. By the time they've worn that down to nothing, and I mean they will take every blade of grass off of it, the next field over is ready for them to go on. So I have 3 fields. They're all 100 by 100, which is a pretty good chunk. And I've had as many as 30 on there, and keep them going all summer long. So as soon as I move them, I'm right in there that afternoon. I might drag it. I might even rototill it, because I got a cool rototiller. And I just do it because I can. You know, I mean, it smooths it out. It looks good. I feel good. I do it. You don't have to do it, but I'm just to that level where I do it. And then I'll sow in a nice crop, and then in a few days, poof, up it comes, and that's a carpet. And before long, I've got these, you know, these leaves this high off of forage radishes that it looks like a crop of tobacco down, you know, in Tennessee or something. And those leaves, you can pull one of those off there and you can just eat it. It is so sweet and tender. Good stuff. Really exciting to do. I just really enjoy it. And then the radishes, sometimes the radishes are almost 2 feet long and this big around, and they're white, and the meat is just, I mean, you cut the exterior off and you'll just have this tube of this dripping meat that's snow white and just as sweet as, I don't even know what. I can't think of anything like it. And if you're not careful, you can eat too much of it. But it's so good, so good. Here we are, just feed them to the pigs, and they grow like wildfire. So I can get 3 different croppings off of each section per year, per season. Can't wait to show you that. Is there anything else? We got to be pushing 2 hours now.
Yes.
This screen.
9:52.
Okay, let's.
And our internet held out, and the phone battery held out.
All right, cool. And we did the thing where people were able to come in and on the Zoom. Hopefully we can do a little bit more of that. It was a little cumbersome at first, but I appreciate everybody coming tonight. And if you haven't heard, we will be on tomorrow night, but it's just me on Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Weekend we won't be on at all. And those nights are subject specific, or I go to the tribe and comment on some of the information that's in there, right? I'd love to be able to comment on everybody's stuff. You know, there's just too much stuff. Occasionally there's something in there that is just, to me, it's just outstanding, and I just have to talk about it. Also, we'll talk about some of the things that we're doing here. I'm going to be doing mushrooms. I've been doing them for years and years, but we're getting ready to inoculate a bunch of new logs, and that's really a nice process. It's very fun to do, profitable as far as, you know, food coming into the house. A great prepping move. And then we're going to be doing our chicken tractor build. And then we have long-term plans. You know, I always have plan B, that's the long-term plan. But what I really want to do, I just think this would be the cat's meow, is to outfit some sort of vehicle that could be our excursion machine. We have bunks in so we can sleep and we can take our food with us. Because that's part of the problem with traveling. Sometimes it's having to eat crummy food and you don't start feeling so good. But if we can take our food with us and we can cook along the way and bring our equipment with us, so we could go to, say, Burton's place and check out what they're doing and do a video commentary, and then post it so you could see what these guys are doing. Because everybody's got a little bit different bent on things. And, you know, we definitely want to do this so we can say, hey, here's a strength. Everybody needs to see this. Look at what they're doing, right? Because some of the stuff is really cool. And then head out to Maine to Joe Brown's place. And I think it would be just awesome to be able to do that. But we don't have the van yet. We don't have the time to go, and we still have little kids at home. So that might be on the horizon. But okay, I'm going to sign off. This is Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Remember, anyone can farm. I don't know if I shut it off, Jill. To be honest with you, I hit a button and I have a different screen. But